Anybody else? I just want to do what I want to do. Good evening. Welcome to Right Talk with Mike Lee. I am really looking forward to this evening's show. I have 3 guests with me. I guess this is the biggest gang I've had in a while. I usually only have 2 guests.
No.
But my guests are James Wallace, Linda Del Toro, and Juanita Stephens. Did I get it right?
You did.
And I am really impressed with these people. I read some bios, and James and I, we met at a breakfast over in
East on Lake Austin, Cesar Chavez area. Yes.
Some good food over there.
Oh yes.
I want you ladies and gentlemen, first of all, say something about yourselves because I was very impressed with what I read, and I'm very impressed with what the group is trying to do. What is the My Group, the My Group LLC? This is the whole gang.
Right.
A gang of 3. a real estate developer, a realtor, and a financial planner,
yes.
among other things.
Amongst other things.
Tell us about yourself a little bit, James.
Well, let me let the ladies go first.
Okay.
I'm
Well, I'll start. So I'm a financial planner. I own my own business. I'm independent, which means I do really whatever it is that my customers need. I help them with planning for their retirement and living that La Vida Loca life.
Linda Del Toro, and I've been a real estate agent and real estate broker for over 28 years in Austin. And basically, I've done residential and commercial real estate sales, and I have focused a lot primarily in the East Austin area in terms of residential and commercial sales in real estate.
I have excuse me, Linda.
No.
But I have a great interest in East Austin because I learned a lot about its history. I moved here from many places, too many today. But I was excited when I spoke with you, James, because of the project that you guys are working on, which is the remodeling of the Millennium Center.
Yes.
I really want to talk about that, and then in my group, what you guys are doing, what you're up to. I read what you sent me. You said you sent a preliminary proposal to the mayor.
Yeah.
So you tell us what's going on with that, you guys.
Okay. Well,
you sir, and you gals.
all right. Well, on the Millennium project that we're proposing here is that, well, let me back up a little bit. I used to have a child care center that we built on land right at Rosewood and Weberville in Ridgeway. It was 5 acres. So we developed that land. And the way that happened was that when the kids got out of Oak Spring School, they went across the street, through the weeds and all of that, and disappeared. And we laughed about it. And my wife was principal over there. And she was on the city to get the city to clean it up and do everything. The city wouldn't do it.
So they wouldn't have to walk in the weeds.
Oh, the kids had been doing that for years, going through there, going all the way to 12th
path.
Street.
Yeah,
they had cut little pathways. You had drug addicts. You had people sleeping and living in little camps, all in there. And I brought a friend down from San Antonio because we were living in San Antonio. She was working at TEA. Then she started working for the school system. And then what I did, I brought a friend. We were working on a project, so we went to pick her up. And when we came down there, he saw it, and he just went ballistic, you know. And then so happened, Javier, Hispanic guy, saw a lot of Hispanic kids going through the weeds. And he just went crazy. How could you let these little babies go through the weeds? So that weekend, I bought the property, and we came and started cutting the grass. He brought everybody from San Antonio. We started cutting the grass and started cleaning up everything. And when we got everything cut down, we noticed there was a lot of city stomping and stuff on site. So we cleaned up the site, and I wanted to put warehouses there because I have a school supply business, and I was bringing trucks in and out. And he's a truck driver, so he was going to bring the truck in and out. And what happened there is that the city looked at the preliminary plans and said, oh, fine. Then my wife said, well, no, we need a downward extension program because she got a doctorate from UT in downward extension. So she wanted to put an education center there. So I said, well, I'll put the education center up on one piece of the land, then I'll put my warehouses on the other part of the land, but that didn't work. But to make a long story short, we built over there, we were there for 20 years before we sold it. Ms. Del Toro was our realtor and sold everything. And then I had been looking at the Millennium before then because we were doing another project on the rest of that land to build apartments because the city put a big push for apartments and childcare. So we already had the child care, we had the land to do the apartments, plus at that time we had the state daycare center too. So we had about 60 employees. They didn't have a place to stay because once they got a certain amount of income, they're no longer qualified for Section 8 or anything in Booker T. Okay. So therefore we said, well, let's keep them here. So we already had people for the apartment with no trouble. We got money for the apartments. But at the same time, we had been looking at the Millennium. And we said, you know, we could do this event and that event, but the parents wanted to do events at the Millennium. So we thought, hey, if we had this, that, and the other, we could make this a better place. And we were planning on that. Once we got the apartments built, it would have generated enough funds and money to build a Millennium. And, well, we couldn't get the apartments over the final hurdle with the city and all that. So that died on the vine. So we say we'll still keep the Millennium Center project going. So with the Millennium Center, we're proposing to just redesign and upgrade the Millennium Center. It still will be the Millennium Center,
It'll still be in the same location?
same exact
Same
location.
footprint.
Same
And
footprint.
what we're doing is just taking this footprint right here, and we're saying, let us enlarge it. And on the right side of the site towards Hargrave, we want to add senior housing and veteran housing. This will bring more money into the project, and we're going to put a full-size bowling alley and a skating rink towards the Rosewood sides for the kids. And then we want to turn the event area inside like a main event center with all the games and function all upgraded, and using Nintendo and some of these big computer companies to come in and put some of the high-tech games in. So when they have a computer fair or a big event, they could come there and have it over there. And then, of course, by us enlarging the site, we reduce the parking space, so we are looking for land to put the parking garage on. So we're not trying to buy anything. We're asking them to let us lease the property like they have done with numerous people throughout the city.
Is the property being leased right now?
The property is owned by the
city.
Owned
city.
by the city?
Yes, all owned by the city.
Okay.
And I can't say it's leased or whatever because I haven't got all the detailed information for that.
You don't
We're
know the
still in
status
process.
exactly.
Yeah, we're still in the process. So before I speak on all of that, I want to make sure I have the facts. All right, but we just want to lease the property, and then we're going to do all the upgrades with the city as a partner. So we're not changing the history of the Millennium. And then once we do those three items, we're going to come up with shopping area, which is going to be job creation. And then above that, we're going to have the food court and the movie theater. Still have that section. And then that section is closed off. You have another entrance you go into, receptionist, get in the elevator, and you go to the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th floor. And there we want to have events and activities there that you could lease out for all of the special functions and holidays and all of that. You could lease that space out with catering, different catering companies. And then we have 2 floors of all office space. Try to make that a one-stop shopping center. If you have an issue, have a problem, you could talk to, say, that particular group, and then you could talk to an attorney, and then you could talk to different people to help you.
Different
and all that.
nonprofits.
Yes, so we could have everything right there for you. Then at the very top of the building, we want to have 3 restaurants. We already have one that's interested automatically. And we want to have 3 restaurants on the corner of the building, and we have a little lounge in the center. So while you're waiting to go to the restaurant or whatever, you could sit at the lounge, talk or whatever, and have a little drink or whatever, no problem.
Maybe this is a question for the group, but how has your proposal been received? What's been the reaction, if any?
I would say it has been very
Very
positive
positive.
because we look at this as the Millennium 2.0. Because I've always said I grew up not 5 minutes from here.
Oh,
And yeah,
Right.
so
Are you from Austin?
I'm from Austin. I'm one of those rare
I
cats that
hadn't
you
met a whole
find.
lot of those.
Yes.
But imagine this neighborhood has really changed, right?
Right.
From when I was growing up here. But right now, if you live in this area, you leave out of this area to go do fun stuff because there's nothing here. And so if we had what we are proposing, where you can literally go into a full bowling alley. Do you know when I was growing up here, the churches used to all have bowling leagues?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know that? Can you imagine now what it would be like if and it doesn't matter that this community has really changed. We're trying to make this be
You can,
meet
you can,
what
you
it
can,
has
revi- you
changed
can
to.
revitalize.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So instead of leaving the area where you live, go down the street.
Mm-hmm.
You can have food. You can have the kids downstairs playing. You can be at an event on the 7th or 8th floor, or you can go up to the lounge. You may even be a small business owner and have your business there.
Well, it builds the economy in the neighborhood, which is
Yes.
good.
Oh, absolutely.
And when you're talking about the
Absolutely.
housing piece that has the veterans and who else in it,
Senior
Senior
citizens.
Senior citizens.
that would be affordable, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Oh,
And I
it's
hear
very
all this
affordable.
ballyhoo about affordable housing. That's I don't see where there should be much objection to your plan.
Well, yes, the affordability will come in senior housing. You know, when we go out and get outside funding, when you go to the city, they have all type of stipulations involved in that senior housing. We're going to look at outside funding or direct funding where we can set the prices. We control everything.
I want to add something about that because at one point I was on the African American Resource Advisory Commission, and I wanted to do two things when I was there. The one was that I thought the commission was unworkably large. I thought it should be reduced from 16 to 17 to something less than that because we had trouble getting a quorum.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to see was there was this nonprofit that helps people with challenged backgrounds, as I've been told to say. And her name's Latrice Cook. It's Mel's organization.
Okay.
I wanted to see her get funding, and she did get funding from the city, but she said there were so many strings attached. It's more of a headache than the hint. It's as much of a headache and a hindrance as it is a help.
Yes.
And so I was thinking about what you were saying about
Well, yes,
the challenges of dealing with the city.
Right, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yes.
We're asking the city to be a 30% partner with us. And we're going to raise all of the money, obtain all of the funds,
And to not
management
give you
companies.
permit headaches.
Right, so we're going to do everything, and that way you don't have a lot, because sometimes when the city get the federal funds, they have a lot of stipulation tied to those funds. Then city council add more things to it, and before long, it leaves us out because we can't fulfill it.
I'd like to
Juanita?
say, I look at this project as an extremely positive development in East Austin. Historically, nothing has come out that has been developed by minority people, and I think that's very critical, that local people and minorities are the ones that are initiating and are the impetus for this project. And from talking to the neighborhoods, one thing that I'm hearing from people when I sat down to talk to them about the project, they would love to walk to the Millennium, to either go see a movie or to have a meeting there with their nonprofit or with a business to see, but actually make it a very workable and doable center. They feel like this would be definitely something that's in the neighborhood, they can walk to, they can walk back home, and they're delighted that we're trying to offer a very positive inclusion. And for people that want to lease, we're trying to really look at not leasing, let's say, at the price of downtown, but looking at maybe below the market rate of downtown Austin, which is very expensive, and a lot of people cannot afford it. This, for a minority businessman, can be a very doable, because we'll be offering a very competitive rate.
Absolutely. Well, and also think about having this central place where literally the entire family can go, right? There is not just one person, I'm just going to take my kids, or I'm just going to do this. But think about right now, if you want to rent a space in Austin, it is unbearable. And they're leased sometimes 2 years in advance.
Right.
So being able to go to something that's centrally located and being able to book the location, be able to have an event, have the people that are right there that can help you put your event together, it's just, we see it being done in huge cities. We see it being done in Chicago, in Houston, in Dallas. California is done all over the place. Austin is, everybody says we're a millennial city. Now this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to include that in the East Austin area.
That's a good thing, because one of the things that I always say on the show, I believe, and I'm going to say it until the cows come home or until I'm pushing up daisies. I believe that what's good for the black community is good for the community. And what you guys are talking about, what you people are talking about doing, you saying guys.
We're good.
Right.
Is sort of a revitalization effort
Right.
directed at East Austin, which
Right.
is badly
Right.
needed.
Right,
And I don't think anyone can debate that.
right.
I was excited, and it was refreshing. I was excited because it's nice to think that there's something coming in besides bicycle lanes
Mm-hmm.
and gentrification. I'm tired of hearing about that. it's refreshing to hear about something positive for the
Absolutely.
community that benefit the community.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
one key factor is that we want to keep it traditional. The Millennium was cited as a traditional black project, you know, based for the black people, when really it's owned by the city, it's not owned by black people. But we're saying now black people and Hispanics and some whites, the people will have more control of the Millennium Center.
Correct.
Okay, because this, at any time the city wishes, they could repurpose the Millennium Center today.
Just on a whim.
Right, because
Yes.
it's not making money. So when the city manager, the new city manager goes in and say, hey, I have to cut the budget for things that's not making money, well, he could cut the Millennium. It's nothing we could say because it's not making money. That's a sound business practice. They have to cut it. So the people have to understand that if we don't be proactive and start trying to do something with it, well, then sooner or later it will be cut. You know, somebody else is going to come in and do something with it.
Well, and I think, as we've said from the beginning, this is a proposal that we've put together, and we're going to the city and saying, this is literally something that we're going into the community to get support from before we even come to council. We want you to know this is the groups that are behind this project. These are the people that see the soundness of this project. So nobody can say, well, how do we know it's needed? How do we know anybody who wants it, right?
And believe it or not, some people say that, why you want to do it? For what reason? You know, black's not going to come. They're not going to spend that kind of money. You know, so the one factor that we have to overcome as black people is we have to organize and understand that black people have to make money like any other race of people. That's simple business. We have to create jobs, not waiting for somebody to create a job for us. We have to create jobs. And that's the thing we're trying to get people to understand. You're doing it in your neighborhood, in your own community. And you could take charge of the community. The mayor, we introduced it to him. That's why we say preliminary. And we told him when he said, well, I like it because nobody has came forward to do anything with the Millennium for 20 years. I like it, and I want to, before I get all in on it, because it's election year and all that, I want to know what the community think, which is good common sense, feedback from the community. And that's what we out here doing. We want the community and everybody to know what we want to do and what we're trying to do so they could put their input into it and tell us yay or nay. And the good part about this, everybody we have spoken to, except for one person, has said that this is very good. They want to see the Millennium improve. It should have been done 20 years ago. But some people, how did they end it? The city should have did it 20 years ago. The city should have did it. And that's why it never got done. Okay, and we're saying, hey, we want to do it. Give us the opportunity to do it, and all you have to do is support it. And we had good feedback. The only negative one we had was that y'all going to make money because it's on parkland. And we explained the fact that, hey, South by Southwest have events on parkland. They make a lot of money. Other groups have events on parkland, and they make a lot of money. So what's wrong with us making money?
Well,
You know?
it could also serve an attraction for special events that come to
Oh,
our
A lot of special
absolutely.
events.
I'm
Oh,
just
Right.
I hadn't-
Think about we
just-
basically have 4 Super Bowls here, right? We have ACL, right? We have
South by-
Formula One,
South by Southwest.
South by
Southwest.
Southwest. I mean, we 3 or 4 Super Bowls here. That is huge. When those events happen, you cannot find space here. You cannot find a hotel room. You
Yes,
can't find
that's-
an event space. If you at the last minute want to do an event, or 2 weeks before and you're looking for a venue, there's none to be had.
And they're expensive.
Very expensive.
I asked you guys, it may have been before the show at the very beginning. I was saying, this is the Nehemiah group right here, this gang of 3.
this is it.
And we're
Las
going to have to
tres.
say Nehemiah 2 group.
Nehemiah 2?
Yes,
Okay.
we're going to have to say, because there's already a Nehemiah group. One
Okay,
young
Nehemiah
lady
2.
pointed that out to me, and they multi-millionaires with their group. And they do community development the same way on a massive scale, all right? So we're going to be the 2, all right?
Nehemiah
So,
2, okay.
Yeah, so we're going to be the 2 group. And our goal is to make sure that, everybody know that we're out here and we're doing this.
Mr. Wallace also called us the Three Amigos.
The three amigos.
Because like one guy said, that's why you always call them trouble. Every time I look around, you call them trouble. He said, and what happens when you start things like this, you start opening up Pandora box. And I don't care about what Pandora had in the box. I'm saying let's move forward. And y'all could bury the box and all of that, and let's do something new,
Well, to me, coming from a real estate association, all the elements are perfect for it. Location, location, location.
Yes.
It's in an area that has gone through tremendous gentrification. Yes, we still have minorities in the area, but we also have to be realistic that the minorities have to take control of institutions that were started for minorities. And I think that is very critical.
Yes.
And looking at the way Austin is steadily growing, when you get from 100 to 150 persons per day coming into Austin, this will be a money maker. There's no question about it. But at the same time,
it's perfect
right.
to me.
But at the same time, we're very cognizant of the history of East Austin, and we want to make it still the heart of East Austin, with that philosophy that it's about the family and why it was funded, and that we are here to work predominantly with the minorities and the Hispanic businessmen in there. We need that.
Well, not only that, but this past Sunday, somebody delivered a address at church, and they were talking about why does it take a village to raise a child, right? Our communities have really changed, and there's a lot of history behind it. But if you just keep beating on the history, you never go forward. We get that, but here's the deal. This is an opportunity really to bring that village back, to have a place where the entire family, not just the families, but bringing the churches back to bowling leagues and bringing the kids to do. Do you remember when we were little kids and we would go Friday or Saturday night, everybody was at the skating rink? That was such a big deal, and the parents would be off in the back, and they'd all be getting to know each other and, spending time together.
And they didn't need babysitters or anything, because all
All the parents were there.
That's right.
it was.
This is an opportunity really to go old school. It's a beautiful place, but it's an opportunity to go old school and bring people back to that village. This would be the village, literally smack dab in the middle of East Austin.
I was, I think shortchanged. You said your financial plan. I remember reading your bio. You started out in computers or something, didn't you?
I'm a programmer by trade.
Computers, all that stuff.
I'm a programmer by trade. So, yes, I was a programmer at IBM for 18 years and a manager for 5, I think.
Yeah, I was looking at all 3 of your bios. I said, it's going to be a powerful group here.
I think we've all done some of just about everything.
You were talking about you were a multi-million-dollar producer in real estate and all that stuff.
Yep, she is producer, and that's the key. We got the key people here, so we just need to get everybody to understand that black and brown. Because when people hear black and brown, it's poor. That's the first thing coming to their mind. But we want them to know that black and brown can achieve very large things. You see. And we're not saying to the community that, hey, look, just blindly follow us. No. We're saying sit down if you need to and talk to us. Ask us questions. We want you to put all of your input that you want. Like one guy talked to me for an hour about everything he wanted to see in the Millennium. And I said, now that you said all of this here, where are we going to get that kind of money from? In the senior housing, one lady said, look, I'm selling my house because my property tax is high. I need repairs, but can I move into these apartments when I sell my house? Because I've been told I will have too much money to live in
Section 8,
in any type of
Yeah,
little
subsidized
housing
housing.
program. I say, well, we're not going to be a housing program. You know, we're going to be affordable apartments, and we're going to partner with nonprofits, and we're going to stick with minority nonprofits first, and they will have a section, and then we'll have another nonprofit have a section, and a section where they could keep the rent at a certain level or whatever. So we will control that. So I don't care if you have money or if two senior citizens want to live in a 2-bedroom apartment. It doesn't matter to us as long as they pay the rent. That's all. And the rent doesn't have to be astronomical for them to live there.
Correct.
Correct.
You see, and we have some doctors who, matter of fact, I talked to one today, are y'all still moving forward with the project? Because I want to put my office at on the first floor, because you know I want to do the foot therapy, because she worked at the hospital, and instead of going all the way back to Round Rock, she could leave the hospital and come right over here in East Austin. So a lot of people are interested. We talked about the spa and a therapy center. Well, that's not just for senior citizens and veterans. That's for anybody in the neighborhood who need to go to a spa and get a workout or have some aches and pains. So it's a lot of things out there that people are excited about. And I get emails to put this in. We need to add that and all of these things. But they're willing to pay for it themselves. All they need is the space. You know, just provide them with a certain amount of space. So I don't think we'll have any problem trying to rent this facility at all.
Not at all.
see.
It's literally every single time that we're talking to people about it. People are saying, well, you know, I got a so-and-so kind of business. What do I have to do to get in there? I don't think we'll have a problem with that. But we're at the beginning stages. We're literally still collecting input from community organizations. We want everybody to know that this is a project that we're working on. There is, you know, everybody says, well, you know, how much money is this going to be? We're not even at that point yet. We're still literally putting together. We are, you know, boots in the street right now. Literally at that point where you go and talk to. Now we're trying to get groups instead of one person at a time.
Yes. And when you're doing a project from developing real estate and buying property and reselling it, first of all, you have to get control of the property.
Right.
Once you have control, then you'll find it's easy to bring a lot of big banks, corporations, all that are willing to come in. Now, when they come in, we have to sit down with our attorneys and all that and keep the vision that we want.
Correct.
Because they're going to run the numbers. We have to run numbers and say, Mike, this is how much money this development would make. If your company come in with us, you would, well, we have to sit down and run those numbers, but they have other people, we want to do this and do that. So once we get to that, to the point where we got the city to say, yes, we'll go into a contract with you, and y'all have 5 years to come up with the money to break ground in 5 years. Well, then we have 5 years to start really running around for the apartments, for the parking garage, for the new Millennium Center. We have to put all that money together then. And we will bring in a lot of big corporations for that. So at the end of the day,
So you're talking about private investment more so than
Yes.
public investment, correct?
right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we somebody who built the Frost Bank
Miss
downtown. We
Money
want to bring
Lady.
them in, you know. But see, with the business part, we're not trying to do a minority business incubator. We're going to get a brother or sister out of Houston who has a Foot Locker, and put a Foot Locker in there. Get a manager from here in Austin. You know, it's going to create jobs, and maybe that guy could go open up him a Foot Locker. You know, but the whole thing is, we want to get companies that's already ready to expand,
Right.
and they have funds and money to expand. Those who we're going after.
But in addition to that, there are businesses already here.
Right,
They're
right.
looking to expand their footprint.
Right.
So you may be far south, but you want to have another
Central.
location somewhere central.
Right.
Well, this is the perfect location.
That doesn't cost an arm and a leg.
Well, and think about it from a business perspective. If you know that you're going to be on the second floor, your business is on the second or third floor, and you got people coming in all day and all evening, and then you have events that are upstairs, you have built-in foot traffic.
Right.
I mean, this is a no-brainer. That's exactly what people
That's the
want.
key, to keep that foot traffic.
Absolutely.
That's
And I
it.
think another thing that's critical when I've talked to people about the development is that this is creating jobs. And I think
Absolutely.
that is very important. The fact that you have the location and that you're creating jobs for people. That, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce was very excited to know that there's job creation. Because they're looking, okay, let's look at this, let's look at it from an economic standpoint. That's going to benefit the contractors, the workers, the people that are going to be working
And it's
inside.
not just job creation in the construction.
It's
it
long
will be
term,
ongoing
permanent.
because
Absolutely.
of business.
Absolutely.
Long-term, right.
And that's what people need to. They like that because they can say, well, a lot of them, have kids that are going to be going to college. They may want to be working there part time, or they may have a business that they might want to seek to have a secondary location. So there's a lot of things that can happen that are very beneficial financially to the community, and that's
Yes.
what we need to stress, that it's going to benefit us financially, and that's where we need to be, because we need to show our people that they stand to gain financially, because everybody needs money to survive.
And this is a black and brown endeavor. We have a lot of Hispanic businessmen. We have Hispanic businessmen who own banks, so we have a lot of people who have money and funds. And in this economy right now, you have tons of people sitting on lots and lots of money. They're looking for places to invest or come in. And some of them love the idea, and they like the fact that, well, you're going to partner with the city. If you're partnering with the city, that's even better, because they feel safer. Whereas giving all the money to a little group of black people, so they feel safer doing that. And then they look at the scope of the project. One company told me, Mr. Wallace, unless you're over 50 million, we don't want to waste our time. Austin is the hottest spot. It needs to be over 50 million before we could come in and loan the money. So he said,
Okay.
give us the perspective.
Give me a problem.
So I said, well, let us get this contract, and then you could come in and we could talk. And because nowadays people go online. When you talk to somebody in New York, they get the address. They pull out more information from New York City than I could pull here in Austin. And I go downtown to get information. They go online, and they pulled everything. One guy did the floodplain. He did everything.
They're going to Google Earth and find out what they need to know.
Well, see, they done paid for all these. See, you got to pay the city too for special, I guess, access to different computers and programs and all. They had everything. He had the whole thing laid out. And he said, well, yeah, it could be done, but you're going to have, that's clay soil, and you're going to have to address the clay soil issue and all. And I said, man, he did all that to say, what I could do, I could start shopping it. And I said, no, I don't want to shop anything until I get the city okay. But see, when they start shopping it, that's when the clock start ticking. They on payroll,
Okay.
So I said, no, don't do nothing until we get the city to say yes, that they'll promote it. And I really appreciate the mayor that he's actually willing to give us this opportunity to actually go out and talk to the community. Because before, the old city council didn't want to do a thing with black people. They'll do it for black people or Hispanic people, but they didn't want to let you do it for yourself. And I was personally told, y'all would make too much money.
What?
We would be making y'all billionaires. And I said, we already millionaires. We'll be making y'all millionaires if we did that. That was the issue. I had one preacher told me, a black preacher, he said, Mr. Wallace, they met. Now, I'm dealing with the city. Why are black people meeting? And he said, I can't understand why they have an issue with black people making money. And he said, that was the whole issue. They got an issue with blacks making money. And that's something we have to stop worrying about, because now they see blacks don't have nothing. Everything they say they were going to have and do has gone. And now you see a white developer or some white company building on that site that was supposed to be a black site. You see, so for whatever reason, some people just gave up. But we're not giving up. That's why we're the Nehemiah group. We're going to hang in there. It may be tough and hard, but we're not giving up. We're going after it. You know, so if you don't, like they say, if you don't go for it, and if it's a bone there, you're just gonna get the bone. We're going after the whole cow. We want everything. You know, we want the meat. We want the
Hoof
blood.
and
We
everything.
want
Hoof and
everything.
everything else.
Everything. We just don't want a bone. Period.
And
You
think
know.
about it. What we're trying to do here, there are neighborhoods all over the country.
Right.
Literally, once we are able to implement this, this is a package. We literally can go to New Orleans, you know.
You
Dallas.
can be replicated.
Right.
Yes.
It can be anywhere there are areas where, you know, it's a depressed area. Maybe it's going through some
Detroit,
gentrification.
yes.
Transition.
But that's right, a neighborhood, a community in transition.
Right.
Be able to bring in something that gives people an opportunity to make a change, right?
Right.
So whether you want to start a business or you've had a business for 25 years and you're looking to expand, or you want a place, again, to bring that village back together, there is nothing that says this package cannot be replicated in multiple places in this country.
Well, I really like the potential for positively impacting the family.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's
Absolutely.
That's right.
That's so important.
To me,
Absolutely.
having family is the only thing that differentiates us from
Yes.
animals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, and to the
Absolutely.
extent that the community is revitalized and the family is revitalized, that can only be helped. That can only help.
Right.
Well, of course.
And a lot of people have to understand that when they start talking about gentrification and what we can't afford and the poor black and brown people, there are young black people and old black people who live in those homes, those $300,000 homes. There's some young Hispanic people who live in those $300,000 homes. So you have people buying in the neighborhood that's our color. So it's not just white people coming in the neighborhood or gentrifying the neighborhood. Everybody wants something nice to stay in. They want to also invest their money in something. So when they're buying a home, it's an investment. And they're looking at their family and their kids for the future. And you can't stop gentrification. It's here. It's in place. It's no way
It's
to
a
stop
done
it.
deal.
Right.
It's done.
Well,
Right.
I think about my parents' home. I grew up maybe 4 minutes up the street from here.
Oh, yeah?
And my parents paid $7,000 for their house. And I remember my mother, when we were little, my mother would tell us stories about some of the relatives said, "You guys are never going to be able to pay for that house. It's way too expensive. It's way too big." and think now, that house is valued at almost $400,000. Who would think?
Right.
They paid $7,000 for that house.
That's it.
That is, but what we're looking for really is to bring the glue back. There is no reason, whether you have gentrification or not, doesn't mean that you cannot have a glue in a community. It doesn't matter, because I remember when I was little and we would go visit my uncle in California. Austin was segregated, but I didn't see segregation there, and I saw those villages of everybody in the community. It wasn't just one group or class of people. And so what we're talking about right now, there would be everybody in this community.
Right.
That would no longer have to leave where they live to go and do fun stuff.
Right.
I mean, this again, I call it a no-brainer.
Yes. And just to show you how powerful we have been, you have companies in Mexico that's willing to come in and be a part of this project. So I'm going to let Linda summarize it in Spanish.
Sure.
Because for our Hispanic counterpart. Spanish-speaking counterpart. Yeah.
Muchas gracias por darme la oportunidad de explicar al público habla hispano este proyecto. Yo estoy envuelta con el señor Wallace y la señora Stephens en un proyecto para desarrollar el Millennium Center en el este de Austin. Ahorita estamos en el punto, presentamos el proyecto al alcalde, Mayor Elder, y él nos recomendó que platicáramos con la comunidad para ver cómo la comunidad responde al desarrollo nuevo del Millennium Center. Y el propósito de esta presentación es para explicarles a ustedes que solicitamos su apoyo, su información y sus recomendaciones para este proyecto. Me pueden llamar al 512-415-3278 para darme sus preguntas, recomendaciones, y si quieren visitar conmigo, estoy muy encantada de sentarme a platicar más detalladamente el proyecto y qué es los pasos, explicarles a ustedes los pasos adelante para seguir con el proyecto. Muchas gracias por su atención.
Come on back to East Austin. That's all I'm gonna say about it after all that. But thank you.
Yes.
And James, I have to ask you this. And all this was cooking when I met you over there on Caesar Shop.
Oh, I started.
This was in the works then, huh?
Yeah, I started on this in
Several years ago.
2014.
14. Okay.
Yeah, that was before the Millennium was paid off because it was coming to an end. That's why I had 2 years at the end. I started on this 2014 doing all of my research and homework and checking on the funds and money. If people tell you you can't get money, I had a lot of blacks telling me you can't get money, you can't do this, but I found out you could get money. And if you're doing a community project like this, it's easier to get the funds and money. So the best part now is that Trump is in office. He said, why don't y'all let the black community do it for themselves? And I want to hold them to that. I want to go to HUD and say, hey, President said, let us do it for ourselves. We don't need anybody to come do it for us. So that's the thing we want to do. And I'm preaching that to everybody, Senator Cornyn, all. I tell them, hey, President said, let us do it for ourselves. Hey, man, come talk to me.
You saw his picture up there, didn't you?
Oh, yes. So, you know, he helped us a great deal. He helped us a lot. So my thing is, I'm telling all the politicians, you know, we want to do it ourselves. We don't want another group coming in, doing it for us, telling us what we need. Oh, that sounds good, but can y'all really do that? That takes a lot of management, and you got to work with the men. I said, we could find the people to do that. We hire a management company. We're not going to try to get there and get a hammer and a nail and start working on it ourselves. That's the way they look at us. You see, they look at us like that. You know, we're going to hire big companies to do all of this, period. We're not going to try to do this ourselves. We know we can't. So that's what we're going to do.
James, I was, in a sense, surprised but happy when you sent me that email saying what you were trying to do.
Yes.
And I said, number one, I was surprised that you kind of remember me. I said, I think I met the guy through Gavino. Because my thing about this show is called Right Talk. It took me months to think of that name. I think right talks, it leads to right thinking, leads to right action, you do the right thing. I'm conservative, but as I said, I say to my most conservative of my friends, and even that guy that's in the picture there, Cornyn, I believe that what's good for the black community is good for the community. And I'll say it to Trump or anybody else.
Right.
Scare them people.
Yes, because see, we haven't heard from Perry now. Perry been secret. Hey, Perry could bring some money because he's a head environmental. So we could tell him, hey, look, put some funds here in Austin, you know, for our project. See, they want the black and Hispanic vote, but they want us to be seen and vote, but they don't want us to be heard. So I'm saying, if you want to hear us, we want to get in on the money. We don't want to just get in to go to your luncheon or your dinner and have a photo op. We want to get in on the money so we could develop and do in our own neighborhood.
What they say in that movie? Show me the money.
And the money, what upsets me more than anything, the money is there. I'm seeing groups who just started in their garage, and we've been here a year. Here's $100,000. You got black and Hispanic group and working 10 years, and they can't get $500. I had $2.6 million, and you know they didn't say, well, here, $100. I had to file a federal complaint. They could have given me $1,000, and I couldn't say anything. They could, but they said, you know, nigger, I'm not going to give you a bone. I'm not going to even give you a chance at the bone. You know, so that's the part I didn't like. They locked us out because they know if it's a level playing field, we'll win. If you make it a level playing field. And I say a lot of people cheat. So we're coming in to the sense that's saying, hey, we're going to play the game, but we're going to play it a little bit smarter, and we're going to work a little bit harder.
And play to win.
And play to win. And we want the community to understand that. We're not trying to take anything away. Like Ms. Stephens said, she born and raised here. She knows all about the millennials. She knows more history than me. They call me an outsider because I'm not from, I've been here 25 years, but I'm not from Austin. And they said, one guy made a comment, all the problems in Austin is caused by outsiders. You know, and I said, just because we're asking questions and we're trying to get things done, we're problem people. So don't talk to him. Don't say anything to him. You know, don't be seen with him. But the main thing is, once you get in a fight, you get used to the bruises, the rocks, and all that. But at the end of the day, you come out ahead. And even say we do this project, like she said, we could go from city to city to city, because we know how to do it now. You know, when I built the daycare and got it built and figured everything out, call me, let's build another daycare. I could build daycares now. And an architect, Bob Penrose, renowned architect, did my plan. He said, man, if I was you, I wouldn't go into the daycare business. I'll go into the process of building daycare. You'll make more money and less headaches. He was right, less headaches, you know. So, you know, we have opportunities, but we have to make, if they don't give it to us and we sit and wait for the opportunity, we're not going to get it. We have to make the opportunity happen for us. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to make this opportunity happen because now is the time. Timing is very important. Location, and timing. And now is the time to do it. This is the Highland Mall closed down.
Right.
You don't have no activity center. Everybody going way north on 183 or way to Lakeline Mall. This is the time right now. We could do this. So we're asking the community to come on and support us, and or sit down, invite us to your group, and talk to us. Don't go by what somebody said. That's why we're putting it in writing, so when you read it, you know exactly what we said. I heard, and when somebody say they heard, I pull out the paper and give them paper. I said, now when you read that, we're going to talk. Go read it, then we'll talk. Because I don't want anything about you heard. I want you to understand we're going to make money. The project is going to make money. And here's the uniqueness. 10% of profit will be shared with nonprofit. We don't have any, like Ms. Stephens said, we don't have any guidelines or anything yet, how we're going to share it, who's going to be the nonprofit or whatever, but we're going to make sure you're a nonprofit that's going to benefit this project. You're going to generate enough activities coming to this project to have people come over there.
Right.
You see, and that's going to be a generator. We don't mind giving you 10% of profit. No strings attached. We're not going to get there and say, well, you got to meet this criteria and that criteria or whatever. If you're on board with us and you got activities and we see it's beneficial to the whole project, here's your check. We're not going to go through all of that stuff.
I used to serve on the board of the Black Chamber here, and whenever we did an event, it was painful to go and find a venue, and a venue that we could afford, and then get it together, have everything that we were going to need, and this literally for a nonprofit organization.
Perfect.
For all of the events that they have, whether it's the Black Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber, the Asian Chamber, the the Gay and Lesbian Chamber, it doesn't matter. This is an opportunity for you to have something centrally located. It's just a throw stone from downtown, and be able to get your events in a very professional manner, and be able to afford it.
Right.
Well, I think I was excited to read about it, and I was excited when I got your email, and now y'all about to get me all worked up.
Well,
I'm gonna have to get on my boys about this one.
I think, at least I can say for myself, I came to Austin in '71, and I got very politically active. And the premise of why we got very political was to give our people a sense of self-determination and a sense of becoming totally independent. And taking that mindset back to their communities to educate the communities to have a very self-determination attitude about how to function. And this is just another arm of that premise that to me, it's very critical to show, especially people of color, your sense of self-determination and that you will not live a defeated life. I think that's very important because what you do, you're building for the future generations. And more than ever, it is so critical to show our younger generations something positive that they can build on.
Yes.
And because we don't have the luxury of time. And this is, to me, another very positive inclusion, especially in East Austin, that I think is sorely needed.
I can't add anything to that. I won't even try to. But I will like to express my real gratitude and pleasure and privilege to have this gang on the show to help to get the word out about your project and what you're trying to do. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's the most perfect project I've seen, and I've sat on that African American Resource Advisory Commission and listened to presentations time and time again. And I was wondering if you had made a presentation to them, but
No, I have not.
it's something you might consider. My good friend Ken Thompson, who has a radio show on the radio on Wednesday morning. He's the head of the commission now. And we used to listen to proposals all the time, and yours is absolutely the best one I've heard. And what that commission does is the council people appoint a person to that board, and that person should talk to that council person about what was presented to them. It's a way of another way of trying to get the word out.
Yes.
If you have to come back on here again, talk about it some more, I might probably think some more questions when I go home tonight and go to sleep.
Okay.
Y'all gonna make me lose some sleep now.
No.
Good.
Yes.
So did you talk to him about all the organizations that are supporting us right now?
Well, we have a lot of organizations who have said they would give us their support. We spoke to the Urban League. We spoke to the Hispanic Chamber, the Neighborhood Association. We spoke to Nelson Linder with the NAACP. So we spoke to a lot
Gray
of
Panthers.
the
Gray
Gray
Panthers.
Panthers are willing to come. One will get local support, plus the other guys willing to give us national support. So when we do go to Washington and they say, hey, we haven't asked for anything, because we're talking about the senior housing. Then we have a veteran group that's willing to come in and support the project. So when we start seeking funds, then we're going to start bringing everybody with us, our own little army.
If you're gonna do that, if you should give me a holler. There's a couple people up there I know I could put you in touch with.
Okay.
And again, it was a pleasure to have you on the show, and it's really a pleasure. And I help you any way I can. I'm glad to have you people on today.
We
Well,
appreciate
thank
it.
you. We
Thank you.
appreciate you having the show. We'd like to thank you for having
By the way, Pokey says hello.
it. Okay, yes. All right. Yes.